Pearl Harbor hit, and all the guys, what's Pearl Harbor? Where is that? What's going on? Well, by evening, at Sunday afternoon, the public was breaking down glass windows on Japanese laundries already. They were so mad at the Japanese. I took a look at all the recruiting stations and then decided to join the Army Air Corps back in those days. They put us on the flight line right away. No ground school, no boot camp, no training. There weren't any guns. After a while, we got better and better at mechanic work there. It got to the point where we could adjust the carburetor and adjust the magnetos and the twin mags on those radial engines. Along came an offer, go to flying school. And I thought, well, that's for the big boys, not high school kids and stuff, but I'll try it. I'd like to try some flying. Well, lo and behold, I made it through the flying school. And then got assigned to co-pilot on B-17s, and then flew over to Iceland during the night. And flying across the ocean at night up there at that time, there was no lights. It was the darkest and blackest night they ever flew at any time. And it was cold. We were in summer uniforms. And at any rate, we had dinner there and stayed overnight. And then the next day we flew over to Ireland, where we leave the plane off. As soon as we got to London, we knew we were in a war because all the glass was blowing out of the train station, piles of debris all over. They scraped out the streets clean so you could ride on the streets and stuff, and buildings blowing up. We knew we were in for it now. Clear up by Sweden and came down into Germany. And I just happened to look down, and there was some white flak coming up. Never saw it. Well, I'd heard about it before, but never seen it before. With balls on the white flak down real low. We were at 20,000, still on the climb. I looked down at that stuff and laughed. I thought, by the time they get our range and stuff like that, we'll be out of there range and on our way. Well, after a bit, another burst of flak came up about halfway. I said, well, they're getting closer, but I'm looking around, and the rest of the formation leaders are out in here, and we're still on the climb, and it's going to be okay. The next shot was a ball of red flak, red marker of some kind, right on us at altitude. I said, uh-oh. Sure enough, the next burst, a bunch of white flak right into our outfit. A piece of flak right back in number 3 engine, and oil was coming out of the thing, and I'm looking at it, and I said, well, we're going to have to feather that thing real quick here, pretty quick. And then suddenly, a bunch of gasoline started coming up out of the cowling and spraying right up over the top of the wing and down like that. Fortunately, our turbochargers are down underneath, the exhaust turbocharger, so it wasn't going in the exhaust. It was so scary because I had seen another guy burn, and it's flame, gas, he's leaking gas. And all I could do is I was just yelling as loud as I could yell, "Don't let it burn, God, don't let it burn." And both of us were grabbing the switches and the controls and all the stuff, the mixtures and the fuel, the whole thing, getting that thing shut off, tangled up in the cockpit, got that engine shut down, the gas stopped, and now we're on 3 engine. We started out, we got out over the coast, got out in the water where there wouldn't be any fighters or flak from the ground, and turned towards Scotland. And we're flying along, and that prop started to turn real slow. Well, as we went along, it started turning faster and faster, and no oil pressure. No oil, oil's all gone. And so it was a matter of flying and looking at that engine, all the time. We've had props where engines freeze up and the prop flies off and go anywhere, come through the cockpit or go and hit the tail. One plane came back with a propeller stuck in his waist. It flew around and whipped stuck in almost like a waist window. Made it into the base and got out and took a pull on that propeller. There's a bunch of grinding iron inside that thing. It was completely shot. It didn't catch fire and the prop didn't come off of it. So you don't know how to account for a thing like that. I would say the worst mission was Mercersburg, and Mercersburg oil field, going to take out their fuel. There'll be 48 ships per squadron and 10 groups. That's 400 airplanes going over Mercersburg. And they said the flak would be pretty heavy. And when we started to approach, Mercersburg was over here. We come down here and come back here and come on a bombing run and head back to England. And I looked over there and I saw that pile of smoke over there, and well, I didn't realize that was the target. The other guys had already been going over it. This one burst of flak just kept going off right in front of me. I was flying that way, and I kept pulling up on the stick, and here's the guy that's flying over here. I'm about 40 feet higher than him because I'm trying to get away from that flak. Some guy called up, Mike, you're on fire, bail out. So we looked around on top, nothing, and ball gunner, he didn't see anything. Waist gunner, nobody saw anything. And then somebody shot at us. We don't know whether it was our own fire or a plane, but I did see two fighters cross over in front of me. Radio gunner called up and he said at Sternadale, he's a waist gunner. He's laying flat on the floor. Turns out that what happened was somebody was shooting from behind, and he tore up a whole lot of sheet metal along the side. One bullet went right through the fuzzy part of his goggles, tore his goggles right off his face. He fainted right there in the spot. It's very dangerous at altitude. If you don't get oxygen within 3 minutes, you go to sleep. You don't even know it happening. The bombardier would call every 5 minutes, check everybody, and see if they would answer. And the tail gunner, Rosenblum was his name. He's from Mississippi, and he didn't answer. So waist gunner went back there to check on him, and he came back to his gun position. And he said, "Rosie's might be done for. His face is all purple, and he's not getting his oxygen or something." Mac Hunt, he was the first pilot on the plane. He looks up at me and said, "Go back and see what's the matter." I said, "Thanks a lot, Mac." So you put out a little bottle, hang it on your side. It'll last for about 9 minutes or so. There he was, he's still crouched up to his guns, and he's sitting up. Of course, you're doubled up with your knees up underneath the seat there. You can't do much. Pushed him over backwards, put his mask, crushed the frost out of it, put it back on him, and turned his mask, or his regulator up 100% oxygen. Pretty soon his face started to turn a better color. I thought, boy, it's gonna make it, it's gonna make it. Heard a lot of noise outside, stuff going off right out the window. You could hear it a lot louder back in the tail. They're shooting, somebody's shooting at us. And so I turned around, looked out the tail, and I see kind of a little settlement or a village or something there. And people were out there, and Mac at this time had pulled up real hard and started climbing. So I just grabbed both of those machine guns and just started spraying that area. I was out of my mind. I was so mad that it was trying to save Rosie's life. They stopped shooting at us, so I must have scared them off too or something. Wrapped him in a blanket and took him back to the base. Then we had to have a service for him. And we took him up to up near Cambridge, there's a burial ground up there. And we come up to the base and get out of the truck and get Rosie out of there and take him over to the grave. There's guys standing around shoveling and digging the hole, and they stepped off to one side. Turns out they were German war prisoners. They, in a way, had it made. They were out of the war, and we had a soft job of just digging graves for us guys. We always wondered if they were celebrating whenever one of our guys were being buried or what, but they never said anything. They were very attentive, doing their job. It was a very strange kind of a sensation to experience. I was breaking in a brand new crew and briefed them on the ground all about it. The first mission, you had to kind of brief everybody up and stuff. We had to do that too. We're just about to the target, and the flak was flying, and all of a sudden, my rudder pedal went clear to the floor, and I pulled on the stick, and it wasn't working. Whenever you fly out over the water or any place like that, you check your gas, check your time. Don't go out any more than halfway of what your gas you have. And I did, and I was looking like it was getting kind of close, so I came back and flying back into France, actually, close to the ground, looking for any place to land, because clear out of gas. Suddenly there was a couple of flashes, green flashes off to the left. Somebody's over there, I thought, so I went over there. And sure enough, here's a field there. And one runway was okay, the other side of the field was blowing up pretty bad, and all the buildings were gone, they blown to pieces. And so I circled the field, there's nothing, nobody there at all. I went and landed, and here come a bunch of people come out. And one guy could speak French, and my name is French, Generaux, A-U-X on the end. He turned around those people, and his name was Generaux. They went crazy. Here's a Frenchman, and then the Frenchman that can't speak a word of English. I didn't know. I talked to him and asked him, "Which one of you guys flies that light?" Nobody did. Nobody did. That light came from a reflection from the sun, which was off to the right here, flying east, and this wreckage here. The glass did 2 flickers enough to make me turn over there. I found out that they had just liberated that town. At my altitude, at 1,000-foot altitude, flying on low and slow, I would have run right over those guys. They'd got me on the first shot. And a lot of guys were carrying good luck pieces here and there and stuff like that. Just before I went in the service, a neighbor came over to the house. He knew we were getting drafted. He said, my dad or uncle or something was in World War I, and he carried this little Bible. Well, I had that. I did the same thing. I put it in my shirt pocket. I carried that thing, and I wonder if that brought me luck or not, or anything. All 35 missions, I carried that thing in my shirt pocket. I don't know, and so I attribute that Bible. Good luck. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today.